Let this YouTube get going. Alright, good morning, good morning. Hopefully everyone can hear me, can see my screen. Go ahead and let me know in the chat, in the YouTube chat, or our private Discord, if everything is looking okay. And if you can hear my voice okay. And first and foremost today, we are going to cover our brand new app that everybody should have access to. No, yeah, Richie, yeah, that's one of the sounds I use on one of the futures tools. So let me know when it's time to sell a contract. We could even take a look and see what it sold. It was a sell at 14,241. Oh, and a nice sell zone too. But anyhow, back to the app that we are going to review, check out today. And good, looks like some folks are oh, here, let's see if I can turn this up, this mic a little bit. All right, wait. There, hopefully you guys can hear me a little better. All right, let's dig into this app. Don't want to keep you guys waiting, just giving people time to join in. But we'll get going. So, today we are introducing our new app that we have launched here at Predicted Trades in an effort to make it easier for you guys to have the beast numbers delivered and track them throughout the day. So, launching into the app, basically all of the strikes that we output for our PTs daily will be grouped together by a ticker to make it easier to know what you're looking at. And then you'll have a breakdown of what the current price is in the first column, the beast bottom, and then the main beast, which makes our beast zone. So the beast top, beast bottom makes our buy zone. When price is close to or inside the buy zone, you'll see these numbers highlight green. If it starts to drop below the beast bottom, you'll see it highlight red over in last, where we typically don't touch the contracts. But here, let's go to like QQQ on the day. So let's say you're getting ready for prep, and you pull up QQQ. And just say, hey, we're going to open here around 346. I want to play up to 350, 352. Or I think we're going to reject 349 and come back to 343. So I'm going to play the 345 put, whatever your thesis is, right? Let's come in here and look at the 342 put, the 340 put. Currently the price is above Beast at 150, right? So we don't see any highlighting. But I like the 340 put, and so I want to make it a favorite so it's easier to find later. If you just click on that line, it's going to save that as a favorite for you. And now you're loaded back at the main screen. Let's go back down and look at some spies or something. To talk a little more on highlighting, as the price moves away from Beast and starts to take off again, you'll get highlighting as you hit each of the take profit numbers. Or if it's kind of in between, it might highlight both, right? And it will highlight these as it gets close. There's kind of a 20% up and down that allows this to shade. Let's say I want to also like this SPY 425 foot that closed right near Beast. We are gapping down, but maybe we can get another chance at it. So I'm going to like that one as well. Just by clicking on it, it likes it. Now I'm back at the full screen. This list for you guys will be filtered based on the tickers that you subscribe to, so you should only be able to see the tickers that are normally available to you. Just to give you show you where favorites are. Once you have picked a few of your favorites, if you come up and click on the menu, you'll see this favorites section. You can click right there, and here's every strike that has gotten a favorite. Now, it's not, unfortunately, I can't make it specific to each person to be a favorite, but what this does create is kind of a group think, where every person has picked a favorite strike, and now it's made kind of a list of everyone's favorite for a bit of a hive mind view, right? And then actually there's even a chart for favorites that will put each of these out and show you how many likes there are over here. So like this NVIDIA 225 put, looks like a fan favorite, but we'll look at that. Let's go back to the main page. It all starts on the first tab, main page. You can then filter by calls if you want to see just calls only for your tickers. Just puts only. If you want to see what's currently in the Beast zone, it will filter for just what is in Beast. So it's nice, midday if you're hunting trades, you can come to this tab to see like what's currently near Beast, right? The Beast histogram, sometimes it's working well, sometimes it is not. It's a work in progress on that page, basically. In fact, it looks like I might be plotting something else right now. But the favorite chart is definitely where we do want to look as we get closer to open, because each person's going to go in and pick their favorites for strikes that we're going to play for the day. So it looks like there's a little bit of Netflix love out there, some Apple, a little bit of NVIDIA downside, and Tesla downside. So just to give you an idea. And this is definitely something we can work on. I love feedback, so just feel free as you guys are testing it out to give me some feedback. There's already been some suggestions on some tweaks or improvements that might be coming. But yeah, just want to give you guys a brief overview, show you the new app. This is accessible on any mobile device, on tablets, on phones, and I'm in the web version of the app. So you should have all received an email if you're subscribed to Predicted Trades. You should have received an email with an invite link, hopefully, I believe, for the web app and the mobile app. But just let me know if you need any help finding those. But we've gotten a lot of great feedback on this. It's helped folks, midday when they're on the go to see where things are at. The last price updates every 10 seconds. So it is, pretty close to live data. But I will say, what you're looking at is a static view. And in order to update, you have to hit refresh. So as you pull this up midday and you're looking around hunting stuff and you get distracted and you come back in a minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes later and you look at this, remember, it's static from the moment you are looking at it, and you need to hit refresh again, right? On mobile, you can drag down the app and it updates very quickly. So if you're on tablet or a mobile device, you don't have to hit this refresh button, and when you drag down, you don't see this refresh screen. It just says refreshing and pops actually a couple of seconds quicker. So just to give you guys a heads up there. But there's a brief introduction of our new app available to all of our members that have subscribed to Predicted Trades. And now we'll dig into a brief prep. All right, zoomed out a bit just to give us a bigger picture view, right? We were soaring pretty high, and ever since January, we've been in a downtrend sell-off back through the means, back through the 200, caught a bounce at these key zones that I have marked. Had another key zone up above that kind of kicked off a larger sell-off and a loss of trend line, right? Once we got back to this zone from the first big sell-off, reject, reject, back down we go to these zones that caught the sell-off. We slipped those a little with the Russian invasion overnight, but quickly in this next day fought right back up to hold them. Now, we also had a daily squeeze that we slipped outside of overnight, but fought right back up into. So, we are still in a daily squeeze. We pushed off and got back to the daily mean, the daily 21, which we are pretty much tapping this morning, right at the top of a 4-hour squeeze. 4-hour squeezes can be very key for reversals. So we have fought from the bottom of the squeeze back up to the middle with a 4-hour squeeze top right above, the daily 200 right above, basically about another, 50 points, 60 points up, and we're there. And this trend line from the highs, right? We hit a high, we almost make it to trend line, but we reject this moving average and start this whole sell-off. This is the closest we got, hitting that trend line right there, right at this key zone. Started another sell-off. Now we're about to hit the trend line again at a key moving average, the 200, and with a squeeze that could slow us down. So we're at a big decision point, right? Can we get through the mean? Can we get to the 200? Does that become another huge rejection to continue what is a bear market down? We are under most key moving averages, right? We have fought back to the daily mean, the daily 21, which can be the key point of rejection. Each time we've gotten back to it, we overswing it a little and we reject. Now we are back to it. Do we overswing a little, hit these key rejections and head back down? We'll have to see. We are stuck between the daily 15, the daily 21, all night, overnight and pre-market. So we are definitely on a destiny to get this 21 and during the cash session, right? Let's just look at NQ zoomed out a little before we zoom in, because you'll kind of get the same story, right? You'll want to, there we go, you'll want to draw a trend line from these highs. We are getting back to testing it at the same time that we're testing all of these key moving averages. The 200 and the 500, or the 200 and the 50 daily moving averages are way above, back above 15,000. And we are just arriving at the mean, which is 14,300. So that's about a 2-day journey to get up to something like that, and we'd be through this trend line. So not quite to the 200 on NQ, and arriving at the top of these 4-hour squeezes. So as we pull back up on these key levels, around 14,367, around 14,400, we have a squeeze cloud, we have the daily mean. Do we just overswing, start to reject these key levels and fall back? Or do we get above, hold these key levels as support, and start to fire this 4-hour up on about a 2-day journey to get back to the 200? We'll have to see. But tech not necessarily strong right now, and we've got a lot of looming catalysts. I know a lot of folks are thinking, because we're back to the mean, it's time to short, and so they could keep us here and go sideways. As we go through individual names, you'll see they've already kind of been doing that to some of them. So now that we've arrived back at all this liquidity, we kind of have to see what they're going to decide. But a key rejection of the 21 and losing the 8 can definitely mean heading back down to lows. So let's go back to ES and just zoom in before we move on. All right, key levels for today. We've got a squeeze on the 30-minute, 1-hour, 4-hour daily. The 4-hour, come on. Don't start getting slow on me. Oh, there we go, jeez. All right. 4-hour spans from about 44.30 all the way back down to 42.80. Not necessarily the lows, but back down to these zones that have held us up. So we'll have to see if we have enough momentum on this rally that we've been on to get through the daily 21 and start to get above and fire this 4-hour squeeze. Can be a slow grind when they're wide 4-hour squeezes like this. And it can end up being a reversal point to where the path of least resistance is back down. So we'll have to see. But watch these key levels today. 4,400 going to be huge. Couldn't get through it yesterday. We'll see if we get through it today. Trying to pull up to it pre-market. If we keep rejecting it, head back down. 4350 going to be the first key target. Back down to 4300 with these two zones in between that have helped save us. NQs squeezing on every single time frame. From daily on down to 30 minute. So I don't know. I'm not really thinking we can get through all these squeeze tops that are all stacked on each other. But if we do, oh, come on. It would, obviously be a mission to get through each of these key levels on a bid to 15,000 and where the 250 were sitting up above. So let's see if we reject the daily mean and these squeeze tops, start heading back down. Or if we can get through. Ready. Ready could be a good gauge. Its 4 hour is getting thinner, starting to open up more. If the ready is strong and starts to take off, it could fire its 4 hour first. So definitely want to keep an eye on that. But if it rejects these squeeze tops, excuse me, I'd be clear target back at these daily moving averages right in the middle of the squeeze. YM. YM's been a little bit of a leader more lately. I feel like it was a little stronger yesterday than NQ was. And kind of leading, right now, to the upside at least. Its squeezes are getting pretty tight on the 30 minute. So keep an eye on that. Its mean is still up above about 300 more points, about 250. So let's see if it can get up to this liquidity zone between 34,000 and 34,200, the daily 15, the daily 21. If we can get above that, we've got the daily 200 and the daily 50 up at the first Keltner up, which would mean breaking back into somewhat of a bullish market. So let's see. This is going to be a huge zone. It will be probably a slow grind to get through. It could hold us up for a while. It could ultimately be what sends us back down. Let's rattle through some names. Yeah, we got jobless claims. Just hit. Thank you, Richie. Looks like it's not having a huge impact compared to where we were already going on names. But Apple, had a pretty strong day yesterday, leading tech up. Ultimately, it could not get through these squeeze tops. We are still up at them. But if we keep rejecting the daily mean and the daily 15, which is still up above and needs a good test, and if we give out pre-market low, we could definitely be coming back to revisit the daily 8 at least. And if we start to slip back any further, we'll be a whole Keltner down, right? Watch this 30-minute squeeze. We could reject, just fall enough to hold this 30-minute squeeze in the daily 8 and keep on trucking to the upside. So definitely going to keep an eye on the 170s, 167.5s, and the 165s. AMD. Oh, I feel like in our last prep we talked about, when it held this 14, we played it up to the 122. If it can't get going past that, it loses the 122. It's going right back to the 14. And basically, you just could have been playing AMD back and forth off these two key levels the last, 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like. Let's go here. Yep, 14, 22, 14. Open on that gap down, right back to 14, 14, 22, 14. So now we're in the middle. Clear target above, clear target below. We know what to do. We do have a 30-minute squeeze. Let me drop back down to the small time frame. 30-minute squeeze on AMD. Let's see if the daily mean it can get through on a bid back to 122. If it can't, I'm going to revisit this 116 for sure. 116.5. If we give that out back down to 114. Amazon. Been, in a range and been pretty sloppy. But the beasts have provided some pretty darn good trades. I know some folks hit this pop. And I think even some of this Tuesday. But overall, these squeezes are coming in and getting tighter and tighter on Amazon. Watch this 30-minute. And if it can't get back above 3060, it's going to be a good gauge on tech slipping back down. But ultimately, if it can keep holding this 3012, we can try to get back to 3100. I'm just going to skip on through Facebook. Moving with the rest of the tech, pretty much. Not getting beat up anymore and staying above 200. So I'd say Facebook is kind of back in play and worth watching. Very tight 30-minute squeeze will be a great gauge for tech. Can it get going off of over 208, 209 on a bid up here? Back to the daily 15 at 212. Or if it can't get through 209 and starts to head down, it will be a great gauge for tech because Facebook still has a lot of weight. Google, just getting tighter and tighter in this consolidation. Definitely going to break one way. But man, all of these squeezes are just coming in on each other. So tight, tight, tight. We'll see, if you think it's long side, take your risk off the bottom, off the daily 8. Head back up. If you think we're going back down, try to nail that 200 and that 2720. Come on. Microsoft. Back above 300. Gonna be another great gauge. Can it get going? Get above yesterday's high at 301.47. Get above this 303. Or do we head back down and lose 300 and start cascading through these key levels? But already above the mean. So, it All of tech has been strong, it got back to the mean, and now we chop around. Some names starting to push off from mean a little bit. That's one thing I forgot to cover. Let me just look like an apple. Look at the big ones. In between the moving averages, right? Not above the 21 yet. Could keep going sideways in this zone. Amazon at the moving averages, keeps rejecting. We'll see if it can get going even above the 21 and the 15, which have now come back up below recent highs. So a rejection of the 15 means setting in lower highs today. Microsoft is above its means, as we saw. So relative strength a little bit better. But if it rejects the squeeze top and falls back to the means, it could spell rejecting the means on some other names that are below theirs. So all worth watching. Netflix. Already kind of rejecting and falling away from its means, and not looking too strong pre-market yet. But if it can get above 382, 383, it can start to fire up to these moving averages. If it starts to give out yesterday's low and head down, going to be a good gauge for tech on rejections and heading back down. So Netflix already kind of starting the move. Let's see if it can get back to those means. Nvidia arrives at the means. We sit. Let's see if we can get going, or if we keep rejecting to head back down to these squeeze bottoms in this 230, 232. We're in between the 200 and the 15 and the 21. We could live in between these zones for weeks while this whole Russia thing gets figured out, and while the whole chip shortage, the investment from any further investment from our government in chips still being talked about. So we could just sit here for a while on chips, bouncing around key levels like we saw on AMD and NVIDIA. QQQ. Same thing, kind of in a range. 340, 350, bouncing around. Let's see if we can get above yesterday's high. Get all the way to the daily 21 and 350 key targets above where our 4-hour squeeze waits. A rejection there can send us back to the daily 15, daily 8. So when we're in a range and we start to get near the tops and bottoms of that range, at least the way that we teach and the way that a lot of the math lines up on BEAS, that is where we are risking, off of. Risking calls back up, risking puts back down as we're stuck in these ranges. Whereas a lot of retail sees us get near the top of a range and says, go long, we're breaking out. No, just another rejection. Oh, another bounce. So let's see what we get today. Could easily stay within these squeezes for a little bit. Nothing says we have to break out today. Roku fell pretty hard yesterday, but made a nice recovery. Looking pretty weak. I'd say if you swung any longs on Roku, definitely think about locking those up. But if we can get above this trend line, get back to the daily 8, they could work out well, but already captured a good amount. And bid and ask seems to kind of be spread right now. So definitely see what we get on Roku. If we can get back above this daily Keltner at 133.5, we can start to pick up and work our way back up off this squeeze bottom. SE shops, no, I don't think anyone really cares about those right now. SPX got up to 4,400. We do have some squeeze in place there. And the daily 21. We're having, well, we're all positive, slight gap up. We could open at the 21 and be testing these squeeze tops. So let's see what we get. SPY. Same thing, and it'll be opening very close to the 21, 440, squeeze tops. Let's see if it's a little gap and go. If we fall back to refill the gap and go. If refilling the gap sends us to the squeeze bottoms for another load up to go up. You know, they got all this. Maybe it's a take profit right back to the squeeze bottom for more. Or we gap and go. Let's see. Apple has news. They announced an event for March 8th with a low-cost 5G iPhone 8 and a new iPad. Oh, okay. Apple's going to get some little news blips on products. Try and pump it. We'll see. Let's see. Tesla was our last to cover. We'll go back and look at Apple real quick on that news blip. Tesla right back up at these highs. Let's see if we can get that push up to 900 or close enough. We do have these squeeze tops to contend with, but Tesla's been strong the last few days. And if you're in the predicted trades room, few folks hit those Tesla 900s. Where we are, there. This is what I'm looking for. Come on. Let's look at Tesla 220304 call 900. We started talking about these last week. When they hit Beast on Friday, some folks swung them and caught a decent return. They came back. They tapped Beast pretty much yesterday and worked their way back up. So, hilarious how it works. Some folks took those two. High was around 16, then 20. They came back right at around 3. Picked right back up. See what we get. Tesla today. See if we can push off of this 880 buy zone in a bid to get to this 894. We do have a lot of squeeze tops in play. So we could easily tap this zone and die and fall back down. Or get through and start to fire these squeezes to the upside. Our next zone above, psychological 900 and 908. But if we can't get going and can't get through these squeeze tops, we do have the bottom sitting right back at 850. So definitely going to be watching the 850s, 840s. Going into Thursday, Friday. And that pretty much covers prep. Hopefully this was helpful for all of you. Yeah, Apple pushing more on that news. Looks like it's arriving at the 21 and the 15. So yeah, good luck today, everybody. Let me know if you have any issues with the app. Hopefully everyone finds that helpful. Hopefully you found this prep helpful. If you're new to Predicted Trades and this is the first time you're tuning in, please check out our website. Check us out on Twitter at Predicted Trades. We supply daily levels to play options off of. Predicted levels, mathematically calculated days in advance, that allow us to take amazing trades. I can at least give some examples. Let's see, yesterday there was some what was it, the QQQ 220302 call, what was it, 345s that we played. Yeah, here's a great example. We played the 345 calls yesterday. Actually, a few times. Come on, let's zoom in. And this is just for any new folks that are just tuning in to predicted trades for the first time. We played these 345 calls yesterday on QQQ. We had our predicted buy zone, the beast zone down below at around $1 to 70 cents. I took those at open, $1, the $2. They were reloaded at 70 cents to $2. They held the middle of our zone, what we call the patty of this little burger. We had our burger bottom overlapping our buy zone. Anyway, these ran $1 to 2, 70 cents to $3, a $3.50 at the highs. The way we teach in predicted trades is buy at these zones, take profit at these key levels, these other zones, and even at previous day's zones. So this was a great trade, provided a double, a triple, even a 5x if you're able to nail the bottom and the top. And we call them out all day live with our traders. So please check us out on our website and join our private Discord to start really crushing your options trades.